They never yelled. They never hit. They never did anything that would hold up as abuse if you described it to someone else. Instead, they sacrificed. They gave. They worried. They made sure you knew in ways you could feel but never quite prove that everything they did was for you, and the cost of all that giving was your freedom. The covert narcissist doesn't look like a narcissist. They look like the most devoted parent in the room, the one who sacrificed their career for you, the one who stayed in the marriage for you, the one who did everything for you and made sure you knew it, not through demands, through guilt, through martyrdom, through an emotional debt so large and so invisible that you've been paying it your entire adult life without knowing what you owe or who you owe it to. This is not passive aggression. This is a control system disguised as sacrifice. And in this video, 10 things that feel normal in adulthood but trace back to the covert narcissist's playbook. Breach 1, the surface, what it looked like, and the hidden cost, what it was actually doing. Number 1, you moved to a new city, you got a promotion, you built a life, and underneath every milestone, a guilt so specific that it has its own texture. I left them, I chose myself. After everything they did for me, the surface, they sacrificed everything for you. Their career, their happiness, their freedom, all given up so you could have a better life. The hidden cost. The sacrifice was not a gift, it was a ledger, and every entry on the ledger creates a debt that you can never repay because the terms were never stated. You owe them your presence, your proximity, your compliance, and the payment is your guilt when you dare to live your own life. The guilt is not evidence that you did something wrong. It's evidence that the system is working as designed. You feel bad for being free because your freedom was priced as betrayal. Number 2, looking back, you can't tell whether the attention was love or surveillance, whether the concern was care or control, whether they held you close because they cherished you or because they needed to know where you were. The surface, they were involved, present, attentive. The hidden cost, the involvement came with invisible strings. Every act of care was also an act of positioning. They drove you to school and chose your friends. They helped with your homework and monitored your thoughts. They showed up for every event and reported back what they observed. The care was real. The control embedded inside it was also real, and the confusion you feel now, was that love? Is the designed outcome of a system where care and control were never separated. And the most disorienting part, some of it was love. That's what makes covert narcissism different from overt. The overt narcissist's love is obviously conditional. The covert narcissist's love is mixed with genuine feeling, real moments of warmth, real concern, real connection, woven so tightly with the control that you cannot pull them apart. You can't say it was all manipulation because it wasn't, and you can't say it was all love because it wasn't that either. And that confusion, the inability to cleanly categorize your own childhood, is the covert narcissist's most effective legacy. Number 3, something goes well in your life, and instead of celebrating, you minimize it around them. You downplay the promotion. You soften the good news. You apologize for thriving because thriving in the original system was treated as evidence that you no longer needed them, and not needing them was the deepest offense. The surface, they were happy for you. They said the right words. The hidden cost, underneath the words, a shift, a withdrawal, a tightening. Your success was received not as a reflection of their parenting, but as a threat to their relevance. If you can succeed without them, what are they for? And the subtle punishment that followed your success taught you: shine, but not too brightly. Succeed, but make sure they know you still need them. The apology for your success is the tax you learn to pay for the crime of outgrowing them, and the tax is invisible to everyone else. Your colleagues see humility. Your friends see modesty. But the modesty is not virtue. It's compliance. It's the adult version of a child who learned, do not shine brighter than the parent who needs to be needed. Because a bright child in a covert narcissist's household is a child who is proving with every success that the sacrifice might not have been necessary, and that proof threatens the entire system. Number 4. They're sad and you feel like you caused it. They're disappointed and you feel like you failed. Their mood is your responsibility, not because you chose it, because they assigned it. The surface, they shared their feelings with you. They were emotionally open. The hidden cost, the sharing was not vulnerability, it was delegation. They didn't share their sadness to process it. They shared it so you would carry it. The child became the emotional container for the parent's inner world. And the child learned, if they're unhappy, it's my job to fix it. Not because the child wanted that job, because the parent made the child's love conditional on accepting it. And the cost in adulthood, you enter every room scanning for other people's emotions and calculating how to manage them. Not because you're empathetic, because you were trained that other people's feelings are your assignment. Number 5. Something happened. You remember it clearly, and then they told you their version. And their version was so calm, so reasonable, so completely different from what you experienced that you began to wonder, did I imagine it? Am I remembering wrong? Maybe it wasn't that bad. The surface, they had a different perspective. People remember things differently. The hidden cost. Their version didn't just differ from yours, it replaced yours, systematically. Every time your perception conflicted with theirs, theirs won. Not through argument, through calm certainty that made your perception feel unstable. And over years, you stopped trusting your own experience. You started checking with them. Did that really happen? Is this how I should feel about it? Your inner compass now points to their north, not yours. And in adulthood, this looks like something specific. You feel something, and before you let yourself feel it, you check. Is this the right feeling? Should I be upset about this? Am I overreacting? The checking is not conscientiousness. It's the ghost of a parent whose calm, reasonable reinterpretation of every event taught you that your first instinct is unreliable. Every time you second-guess yourself, you're running their program. Number 6. You're making a decision about your own life and you prepare a case. Not because someone asked, because every choice in the original system was met with a specific response. Not anger, silence, disappointment, the sigh, the look, the quiet withdrawal of warmth that communicated, I'm not going to stop you, I'm just going to be hurt. The surface, they let you make your own choices. They never controlled you. The hidden cost, they controlled the emotional consequence of every choice. You could choose freely and then live with their disappointment. And their disappointment was calibrated to be just unbearable enough that you change your mind next time, not because they demanded it, because the cost of their sadness was higher than the cost of your compliance. Number 7, the deepest hidden cost. They gave everything. They remind you they gave everything, and you carry a debt so enormous that your entire adult life feels like an insufficient repayment. The surface, they were generous, self-sacrificing, devoted. The hidden cost, the giving, was the mechanism of control. Every gift was an entry on an unspoken ledger. Every sacrifice came with an invisible invoice. And the debt was designed to be unpayable, because a debt that can be repaid would set you free. A debt that can never be repaid keeps you indebted forever. And here's the part that nobody tells the adult child of a covert narcissist. The debt is not real. The sacrifice was not altruistic. The giving was not free. It was a system designed to produce exactly what it produced, a child who can never leave because leaving means defaulting on a debt they can never name, quantify, or repay. And the genius of the system, the debt has no terms. No contract that says, pay this amount and you're free. The debt is felt, not stated. It lives in the guilt when you make a choice they wouldn't have made, in the heaviness when you miss a call, in the shame of enjoying a holiday without them. The debt has no number because a number could be reached. The debt is infinite because infinity is the only amount that guarantees you never stop paying. Number 8. Someone in your adult life sets a boundary and your first response is, they don't care. Because in the original system, care meant knowing everything, managing everything, controlling everything, and the absence of control reads as the absence of love, the surface. They cared deeply, they worried, they stayed close. The hidden cost, the care was the delivery system for the control. I'm calling because I'm worried about you, equals I'm calling because I need to know where you are. I'm just trying to help equals I'm inserting myself into your decision because my involvement is how I maintain relevance. And the confusion you carry, is this care or control, is not confusion. It's the accurate perception that in the system, they were always the same thing. And this creates a specific vulnerability in adulthood. You are drawn to people who control you because the control feels like caring. And when someone gives you space, freedom, autonomy, the things a healthy relationship provides, it feels like abandonment. The partner who doesn't check your phone must not care. The friend who doesn't insert themselves into your decisions must not value you. The healthy behaviors read as cold because your calibration was set by a system where involvement and surveillance were synonyms. Number 9. You know something was wrong. You can feel it. But when you try to access anger, guilt floods in instead because they never yelled, they never hit, they never did anything bad enough. How do you get angry at someone who only loved you? The surface. They were kind, patient, long-suffering. The hidden cost, the kindness was the camouflage. The covert narcissist's greatest tool is not cruelty, but the appearance of goodness that makes anger feel like ingratitude. You can't be angry at someone who sacrificed everything. And that's the design. The sacrifice makes anger impossible. And without anger, the boundary never gets set. And without the boundary, the system continues. And others can't validate your anger either. When you describe the covert narcissist to someone outside the system, it sounds like, my parent was too involved. My parent sacrificed too much. My parent loved me too hard. The listener hears, that doesn't sound so bad. And from outside, it doesn't. Because the cost is invisible. It's not in what the parent did. It's in what the child could never do, could never be free, could never succeed without guilt, could never have their own feelings without checking. The damage is not in the action, it's in the restriction. Number 10. You've begun to see it. The strings, the ledger, the control disguised as care. And instead of relief, you feel the worst guilt of all. I am betraying someone who only loved me. The surface. They love you. They always have. The hidden cost, naming what you see, feels like the ultimate act of ingratitude. Because the system was designed so that seeing the truth looks like cruelty. The child who names the covert narcissist is the child who turns on the parent who gave everything. And the guilt for seeing is the system's final defense. Even your awareness is weaponized against you. But here is what the guilt doesn't want you to know. Seeing the truth is not betrayal. It is the first act of freedom. The system taught you that love and control are the same thing. Seeing the truth separates them. And once they're separated, you can keep the love, if it was ever real, and release the control. That separation is not ingratitude. It is the beginning of knowing what love actually looks like without strings. 10 things that feel normal, 10 hidden costs, the guilt for living, the confusion between love and management, the apology for success, the assignment of their emotions, the replaced perception, the over-explained choices, the unpayable debt, the control dressed as care, the impossible anger, and the guilt for finally seeing. You were not raised by a difficult person. You were raised inside a system where sacrifice was the currency of control, and love was the word used to describe the mechanism that kept you in place. And the system's most effective feature, it made seeing it feel like betrayal. But you're seeing it now, and seeing is not betrayal. Seeing is the only way out of a system that was designed to be invisible. If you're tracking the moments you confuse control with care, our Inner Lens Healing Tracker, exclusive for members, includes a section for separating what was labeled as love from what was actually control. The distinction on paper is the beginning of freedom. Join using the Join button below. At Inner Lens, we name the systems that were never supposed to be seen. If this video made the invisible visible, stay. There is more here, and none of it is ingratitude.